as they looted, burned, and killed with impunity. Funded by the illicit diamond trade, they carved out a fiefdom through fear and intimidation. To humiliate the British government and solidify their own power. The West Side Boys revelled in their success, using the hostages as pawns in their deadly game of power and control. The hostages, now prisoners of war, were dragged deep into the jungle, their fate uncertain. Each step they took into the dense foliage was a step further from hope and closer to the unknown horrors that awaited them. Their captors, high on drugs and drunk on power, posed for gruesome photos, their grins a chilling testament to the horrors that awaited their captives. These images, broadcast to the world, served as a stark reminder of the brutality and inhumanity that had come to define the conflict in Sierra Leone. News of the hostage crisis sent shockwaves through the United Kingdom. The nation was gripped by a sense of disbelief and anxiety as the details of the crisis began to unfold. Families gathered around their televisions, radios, and newspapers, desperate for updates. The streets were abuzz with conversations about the fate of the hostages, and a palpable tension hung in the air. The image of British soldiers, hands bound, surrounded by jeering rebels, sparked outrage and fear. The public demanded action. Protests erupted across the country, with citizens calling for the government to take immediate and decisive measures to secure the release of the hostages. The emotional outpouring was a testament to the deep connection and concern the British people felt for their soldiers. The government, caught off guard, scrambled for a response. Meetings were held at the highest levels, with officials debating the best course of action. The pressure was immense, and the stakes were incredibly high. Every decision was weighed carefully, knowing that the lives of the hostages hung in the balance. Prime Minister Tony Blair vowed to bring the soldiers home, addressing the nation with a solemn and determined tone. He assured the public that every possible effort would be made to ensure the safe return of the hostages. His words were meant to calm the nation, but the underlying tension was unmistakable. But the situation was fraught with danger. The dense jungle where the hostages were held was a treacherous and unfamiliar terrain. It was a place where every step could be perilous, and the thick vegetation provided ample cover for the rebels. Deep in the heart of the jungle, the hostages endured a living hell. They were kept in makeshift camps, exposed to the elements and the constant threat of violence. The conditions were harsh, with little to no comfort or respite. The soldiers were pushed to their physical and mental limits, struggling to maintain their hope and sanity. They were subjected to mock executions, their lives hanging by a thread. The psychological torment was relentless, with the rebels using fear as a weapon to break the spirits of the hostages. Every day was a battle for survival, both physically and mentally. The rebels, high on cocaine and amphetamines, were unpredictable, and dangerous. Their erratic behavior added another layer of danger to an already volatile situation. The hostages had to remain constantly vigilant, never knowing when the next outburst of violence might occur. Food and water were scarce, and disease was rife. The jungle environment was unforgiving, with limited resources and the ever-present threat of illness. The hostages had to contend with hunger, dehydration, and the risk of infection, all while trying to stay strong in the face of their captors. The hostages, their bodies and spirits pushed to the brink, clung to hope. But with each passing day, the fear of being forgotten, of dying alone in the jungle, gnawed at their resolve. The isolation and uncertainty took a heavy toll, and the hostages had to dig deep within themselves to find the strength to endure. Back in Britain, the SAS, the country's elite special forces unit, was placed on standby. These highly trained soldiers were known for their expertise in handling the most dangerous and complex missions. Their involvement signaled the seriousness of the situation and the lengths to which the government was willing to go to rescue the hostages. Known for their daring raids and unwavering professionalism, they were the only ones who could attempt a rescue in such a hostile environment. The jungle's dense foliage and the rebels' familiarity with the terrain made the mission incredibly challenging. But the SAS were prepared to face these obstacles head-on. Time was of the essence. Every moment that passed increased the risk to the hostages' lives. The urgency of the situation could not be overstated, and the pressure to act swiftly was immense. Intelligence reports suggested that the hostages were being moved further into the jungle, deeper into the rebels' territory. This movement complicated the rescue efforts, as it meant the hostages were being taken to areas that were even more remote and difficult to access. The risk of them being killed, either by their captors or by rival militias, was growing with every passing hour. The volatile nature of the region meant that any number of factors could lead to a tragic outcome. The clock was ticking, and the window of opportunity for a successful rescue was rapidly closing. The decision to launch a rescue mission was not taken lightly. The risks were enormous, and the potential for loss of life was high. But the alternative, doing nothing, was unthinkable. The government and military leaders weighed their options carefully, knowing that the lives of the hostages depended on their decisions. The jungle was a dangerous and unforgiving environment, and the West Side boys, despite their ragtag appearance, were fanatical fighters, high on drugs and eager for a fight. Their unpredictability made them a formidable enemy, and their willingness to engage in violence without hesitation added to the danger. But the British government, spurred on by public pressure and a sense of duty to their soldiers, decided to act. The decision was made with a heavy heart, but with a clear sense of purpose. The nation watched and waited, hoping for a successful outcome. Operation Barras, the daring rescue mission, was given the green light. The stage was set for a high-stakes operation that would test the limits of courage, skill, and determination. The atmosphere at the SAS base was electric. The men, handpicked for their skills and experience, knew the stakes were high. This was not a training exercise. This was a real-world mission, fraught with danger, where lives hung in the balance. They studied satellite imagery, poring over every detail of the jungle terrain. They scrutinized intelligence reports, piecing together the rebels' routines and defenses. The pressure was immense, but the SAS thrived under pressure. Their motto, "Who dares wins," was more than just words. It was a creed, a belief that courage and determination could overcome any obstacle. The operation was fraught with challenges. The hostages were being held in a heavily fortified camp deep in the jungle. The terrain was unforgiving, a labyrinth of dense vegetation, treacherous swamps and hidden ravines. The rebels were well-armed and unpredictable, their ranks swollen by drugged child soldiers, their minds warped by violence. The SAS, however, were masters of their craft. They trained relentlessly, honing their skills to a razor-sharp edge. They were equipped with the latest technology, weaponry, and intelligence-gathering equipment. Their planning was meticulous, their execution flawless. They were the best of the best, and they were ready to do whatever it took to bring their comrades home. The plan for Operation Barras was audacious in its scope and complexity. It was a mission that required not just bravery, but also an extraordinary level of precision and coordination. The stakes were incredibly high, and the margin for error was virtually non-existent. It involved a two-pronged assault, with a diversionary attack by the Royal Air Force paving the way for a lightning-fast ground assault by the SAS. The RAF's role was crucial. Their airstrikes would serve to disorient and weaken the enemy, creating the perfect conditions for the SAS to strike. Every detail, from the timing of the airstrikes to the positioning of the assault teams, was meticulously planned and rehearsed. The soldiers spent countless hours in preparation, running through every possible scenario to ensure that nothing was left to chance. Their training was rigorous, designed to simulate the exact conditions they would face in the field. The ground assault would be conducted by 2 SAS squadrons, each with a specific and critical role to play. These were not just any soldiers, they were the best of the best. Elite warriors trained to operate in the most challenging environments. One squadron was tasked with securing the hostage location, ensuring the safety of the captives, and neutralizing any immediate threats. This was a delicate operation requiring both speed and precision to avoid any harm to the hostages. The other squadron had the equally critical task of neutralizing the nearby RUF base. This would prevent any reinforcements from reaching the hostage location and ensure that the SAS could complete their mission without interference. Their infiltration would be covert and swift, relying on stealth and surprise to gain the upper hand. Moving silently through the dense jungle, they would use every bit of cover available to them, blending into their surroundings like shadows. The jungle, their enemy as much as their ally, would provide cover, but also hinder their movement and communication. The thick foliage and rugged terrain would test their endurance and resolve, but these soldiers were trained to overcome any obstacle. Simultaneously, the RAF would unleash a devastating air assault on identified West Side Boys positions. The precision of these airstrikes was paramount, as they needed to hit their targets without causing collateral damage. Harrier jump jets and Cobra attack helicopters would rain down fire from the sky, their advanced weaponry designed to inflict maximum damage on the enemy. The roar of the engines and the thunder of the explosions would create a symphony of destruction designed to break the enemy's will to fight. Softening up the enemy and sowing chaos in their ranks, these airstrikes would pave the way for the ground forces. The element of surprise was crucial, and the air assault was designed to keep the enemy off balance. The aircrews, flying low and fast through the dense jungle canopy, would face their own set of challenges. Navigating through such treacherous terrain required expert piloting skills and nerves of steel. The pilots had to be precise, avoiding any obstacles while maintaining their attack runs. Requiring expert piloting skills and nerves of steel, these aircrews were the unsung heroes of the operation. Their ability to deliver their payloads accurately and return safely was a testament to their training and bravery. The success of the mission hinged on perfect timing and coordination between the air and ground forces. Every second counted, and any deviation from the plan could have catastrophic consequences. The soldiers and airmen had to work in perfect harmony, their actions synchronized like the gears of a finely tuned machine. Any miscalculation, any delay, could spell disaster for the hostages and the SAS teams. The pressure was immense, and the stakes could not have been higher. Failure was not an option, and every member of the team knew the gravity of the situation. The tension was palpable, the weight of responsibility heavy on the shoulders of every soldier, every airman involved. They were acutely aware that the lives of the hostages and their own depended on the success of this mission. But amidst the pressure, there was a steely resolve, a shared determination to succeed against all odds. They were driven by a sense of duty, a commitment to their comrades, and an unwavering belief in their mission. This was their moment, and they were ready to seize it.